I think we are started now. All right, let's go ahead and. Hello and happy Sunday, everyone, to the JP Network. Today we will be discussing about the recent recovery after the devastation brought by Typhoon Gami, also locally named Karina in the Philippines. This past 4 days has been a truly disastrous to the surrounding areas of Metro Manila, and I'm here to keep you also updated with what news and what's happening currently in the Philippines. We will have the state of calamity to Metro Manila, thousands of displaced people, and the recent openings of the airports after canceled flights, and even the reopening of the U.S. Embassy after canceled deployments today. So, I want to welcome everyone to the JP Network. I want to thank you for all being here today. We have a lot to cover today, so let's go ahead and get started. What do you guys think of all of this right now? What's going on throughout all of this with all of this flooding situation? If you don't know, just let me know in the comments. But if you do know, I want to know your thoughts and opinions through all this kind of situation, what's going on currently. But with that being said, I want to talk about the state of this big issue right now, what's going on in the Philippines. And what exactly is like a state of calamity? So, right now, what does the state of calamity declaration mean for Manila? The Metro Manila has declared a state of calamity in the central capital region due to record breaking rains on Wednesday. I think that was the 24th. It triggered widespread flooding sent through thousands and evacuation shelters, and then combined impact and super typhoons Karina and the southwest monsoons required such a declaration to unlock nearby a third of its local government units and disaster funds, said San June City Mayor Francis Zamora, who is also the president of Metro Manila Council. Will now be able to access 30% of quick response funds to the city disaster funds individually, he told the ANC on this Thursday. He pointed that the local government could only set up for 70% quicker response, and we'll actually watch this video. He'll actually be talking without the declaration of a state of calamity. So the remaining quick response fund could be now used for the local governments in Metro Manila to procure food and medicine and rehabilitate public structures, he said. In early day, American Mayor Marcio Tindir said that his government was procuring more than anti-leprosy pills such as a doxycycline for residents who braved the monsoon floods and now are at risk of contracting an infection. During the state of calamity, the price freeze is also in effect. So let's go ahead and move over to this particular post. We're going to watch this video, but I'll go ahead and cover it. A typhoon kills 3 as it nears Taiwan, and it is killed 13 people, I think in landslides throughout the Philippines where people were pleading for rescue. Let's watch this video real quick, and then we'll cover the rest of this. You can hear those winds. Wow. This is Metro Manila. I actually want to say something a little bit about this because when it comes down to this really sits home with me because I come from St. Louis, and this I went through the flood, the Great Flood in 1993. It was a 100-year flood, and it caused over $14 million worth of damage around the whole middle of the United States, and it was such a devastating flood that it literally swept away houses. Like I literally watched houses just float down the whole river. And I mean, I never seen so much. Like even up to the St. Louis, the Gateway Arch, it was all the way up until then. We actually have something called the River de Pere, which is like the flood spillway that completely filled up. There was so much devastation. It caused so much issues. People were calling for sandbags, help to drop sandbags, and it was a big situation right now. I mean, sorry, back then in 1993, and I really feel and my heart goes out to those kind of people who face these kind of issues. But if you are dealing with these circumstances, I'm praying for each and every one of you, and just stick through it and trust God. Let's continue. Oh, okay, that's it for the video. All right, let's go ahead and read the rest of this. Taiwan AP, a typhoon killed 3 people in Taiwan and approached the island on Wednesday while people trapped in rising floodwaters in the Philippines. I want to note that this didn't actually touch ground. The typhoon did not touch ground on the Philippines, but it did cause a whole lot of tropical storms. It really just added to it, and the Philippines just has no real good infrastructure on dealing with so much rainwater. We're going to watch a video moving forward in this, and they're going to talk about how much water the Philippines can withstand. But based on its infrastructure, it's just it can't hold this kind of major consumption of water, especially through like basically 2 tropical storms that seriously impact it. And I think there was even a third one that pulled through. A typhoon killed 3 people in Taiwan and approached the island on Wednesday while people were trapped in rising floodwaters in the Philippines, called out for help in Southeast Asia nations, while at least 13 people died. Taiwan's Central News Agency said more than 220 people were injured as Typhoon Gami gathered strength and brought strong winds and heavy rains. School officers and tourist sites closed across Taiwan while air travelers rushed abroad into flights. Airlines said that many flights in Japan, China, and other regional destinations, I would even say in Korea, and I would even say even in the Philippines, canceled Thursday. No trains were operating until 3 p.m., and central news agencies reported. Fishing boats were also recalled amid turbulent seas. High winds knocked down some pedestrian riders of the island. Ubiquitous motor scooters shelters were opened up as valuable areas, and particularly in Taiwan's mountain central east, as are prone to landsliding and floods. One thing I also watched in my previous live stream. One thing I seen that was that Typhoon Gami, when it was on the right side of Taiwan, and it like circled like once and then circled again like a twice, and it was like it just came back and circled around it, and it just caused more devastation. You thought you were done, and it just went around again, and then it just went through Taiwan over the mountain areas and headed over to China, the southern part of China. It was it devastated Taiwan, I bet too, but considering the Philippines doesn't have the infrastructure to deal with it, Taiwan would probably be more prone to dealing with this kind of issues, especially since it's a single island nation. But I'm sure it's hard for a lot of people to pick up pieces throughout these kinds of situations. Fishing boats were recalled as a port amid turbulent seas. High winds knocked down some pedestrians and riders in the island. Ubiquitous motor scooter shelters were opened in vulnerable areas, particularly in Taiwan's mountain center east, are prone to landsliding and floods and streets. Yeah, we just read that. The three dress. This is terrible. The 3 deaths included a driver pinned under his excavator after the overturned slippery road. A woman was hit by a falling tree, and a woman was crushed in a car by a collapsed wall. Central News Agency says, "Oh man, that's terrible." But this we got to be careful through these kinds of situations. If you do face these kinds of situations, do your best to get away from um, certain places that can cause big issues like this. On another note, just since the circumstances, uh, I was having some issues trying to find if the Philippine Airlines was reopened or anything. I found this one article from Cebu Pacific that was opening, and it does actually say I do know that there was a lot of displacements and a lot of people that had canceled flights. I actually have a particular story. Back in 2022, my flight got canceled, and I was trying to leave the Philippines, and I actually had a flight weather advisory. I actually got from Philippine Airlines where they canceled my flight, and I was trying to reschedule my flight, and they would only reschedule my flight from Mindanao Legadian Airport all the way to Manila. But I needed a flight scheduled. I need my whole flight like all the way scheduled, all the way from Mindanao, all the way back to St. Louis is where I lived. So I needed one from Mindanao to Luzon, to Manila, to Los Angeles International Airport, to St. Louis Lambert Airport, and they wouldn't connect it. And every single time I called them, I was like 600 in the queue, and I had to keep reloading my phone because I kept running out of data waiting on hold. And I managed to say, well, maybe I could figure out somewhere I could text them. So I found a WhatsApp message system where I contacted them through WhatsApp, and I was on 4 hours with this gentleman talking to him and trying to reconnect my flights. And God bless that man for helping me reconnect my flights. It was a difficult situation, but I did get my flight scheduled. He even asked me, he's just like, well, when do you want to leave? And I said, I don't really care. Just get me home. and and he did. He was able to get me home, and I did manage to spend an extra 2 days with my wonderful wife in the Philippines. But it was a situation, and my heart does go out for people who did get canceled flights. It was kind of like my first experience ever dealing with a canceled flight. But moving back over here, we're gonna look at this travel advisory through Cebu Pacific. So, Cebu Pacific is pleased to announce that the successful restoration of normal operations found the impact of the super typhoon Karina, internationally known as Gamey. We would like to extend our heartfelt appreciation in Manila International Authority, MIAA, local officials, and invaluable support during this time. This corporate and responsive played a pivotal role in the rapid restoration, air airport operations, enabling us to resume services promptly. Additionally, we wish to express our gratitude to the frontline teams and whose unwavering commitment serving our passengers with evident despite the personal challenges imposed by the typhoon. Their dedication and professionalism was truly commendable. We sincerely thank our passengers and their patience for understanding during this in dist- disruption. I can't talk right now. As we transition back to normal operations, we remain steadfast to our commitment of providing safe, reliable, and accessible flights to our valuable customers. And this says, latest updates, please download this app. Also, I just want to let people know that I will have all of these resources in my video description. So if you are wanting to read more into this and you want to find them, they'll be down in the video description. Okay. Okay, now this is a situation that kind of sits at home with me. So the Manila embassy did close down. It temporarily closed down for many people, and me currently and my wife are waiting. We are documentarily qualified, and we are waiting for our visa interview in the U.S. Embassy of the Philippines. Talking to my sorry, not our marriage consultant, but our visa consultant, we were just informed that people have been waiting since September of 2023 still for visa appointments for married couples. This is kind of very difficult for me and my wife, but we are still trusting God in all of this, and we will be continuously doing that, and we hope to be strengthening our relationship in this times that while we might be waiting 14 to 18 months before we can get an expected date for a marriage visa interview. Um, my heart does go out for the people that are dealing with this situation and the backlog with all of this situation, but unfortunately, that's what's going on right now. And I, I hope that, and I really hope that people can really just strengthen their relationships while how difficult the situation is right now for those individuals. But I am happy that they are back up and running at the at the visa. Sorry, at the Manila embassy. So with that being said, we're going to read it. As of July 25th, the U.S. Embassy Consular Section in Manila and the Veterans Affairs VA Manila Regional Benefits Office and the Outpatient Clinic, I would even say that's probably the St. Luke's Hospital where you get that. In the past, they will resume full operations tomorrow. That's on Friday, July 26th of 2024. Visa appointments and counselors and VSOs will proceed as scheduled, and then they will be reaching out to you personally. I will also, I don't have that currently right now, but I will go ahead and put in the video description if you need to contact them in case they aren't able to get hold of you. I will put their contact information in in my video description in case you need to go get a hold of the Manila Embassy. So we're gonna watch a few videos, and you can just stay up to date with these few videos, and you can watch along with me. One's gonna cover about the state of calamity. One's gonna talk about. I only found really one good video about like the aftermath, what they're kind of facing right now, and I just want to talk about even through all of this, the Filipinos can still have a good spirit. I think even us in America, we can have a lot of negative, like a lot of negativity dealing with a lot of these circumstances when we have major loss, and I really understand that. But I would even say that Filipinos take loss a little bit more easier, and regardless that they're still willing to have good spirit regardless of how much that they went through the situation. And we're gonna discuss that. We're gonna go watch these videos, and then I'm just gonna talk about like my personal perspective on that. So let's begin. Reactions. Okay. All right.
And we have with us this morning San Juan City Mayor and Metro Manila Council President Francis Zamora. Mayor Zamora, good morning to you, sir.
Yes, good morning, Karen. Thank you for having me at Head Start.
All right. Now, the Metro Manila Development Authority and the MMC has already placed the National Capital Region under a state of calamity. Tell us exactly what that means for all the cities in the NCR today that we are under a state of calamity.
Okay, first of all, Karen, because of the devastation brought about by Tropical Storm Karina, the Metro Manila Council yesterday decided unanimously to declare a state of calamity here in the National Capital Region. What this means really is, number one, we will now be able to access the 30% quick response fund of our city disaster risk reduction and management funds individually as cities, because we can only use up to 70% of that if there is no declaration of a state of calamity. Now that we have declared this, we can now access the quick response fund for the procurement of food, medicines, and for the repair and rehabilitation of public infrastructure, which definitely we will need based on what we are seeing due to the effects of the storm. And every city can now access this fund because it has already declared a state of calamity individually as cities and also as a Metro Manila.
Yeah, so I just want to mention something here. I really hope that a lot of this funds will go to the people in the Philippines, not just only the infrastructure. Because what's going on is I remember Typhoon Odette, and I remember me and my wife were even traveling down to to Upslop, and we saw still some of, even like all the way up until like October of 2022. We saw much of the devastation still facing, like what people were still trying to put their lives together through that situation, and it's very difficult if only you put it through the infrastructure, which I know infrastructure is important, and I don't doubt that. But I think you should also, it should dwindle down in the hands of the people, where because these people were truly suffering. But I remember me and my wife, we were canyoneering. You can actually go watch our video where we're canyoneering, and I literally watched this guy with a hammer and like a jackhammer and stuff. He was just hammer away at some concrete while we're canyoneering, because his whole house slid into the river of that canyon, and nobody was helping him. Nobody was helping him at all. He was doing it individually. And then there was another building that even like our driver pointed out that there was a building there, and you don't even see it anymore. It was completely gone. And he said that was affected by the hurricane, by that typhoon Odette. And I know it takes a lot for people to piece their lives back together in this situation. So I do hope that they don't just put it toward just the infrastructure. I do understand you do need to bring back the infrastructure and all of that. I do understand you need to put back the businesses and everything, because that's what people need. But you also need to kind of procure that in the people's hands if you can, because a lot of people, especially here in the Philippines, they don't pay taxes. They live on $3 to $5 a day, and that's all they can really live on. So they can't really try to bring back their life. They don't have homeowners insurance like we do here in the States.
Region.
Okay, all right. And can you give us an idea exactly per city? It may vary, but how much would 30% be of a city's fund, for example?
Okay, Karen, that would be relative to
The size.
the size and the budget of the city. But again, 30% is very significant because under the National Disasters Reduction Management Law, there are guidelines on the utilization of the disaster fund, and the QRF really is intended for response to devastation such as what we're now experiencing. So definitely, this would be a big help for all of us. Right now, here in San Juan, for instance, we have about close to 3,000 individuals who are in evacuation centers. We have about 12 existing evacuation centers that are currently helping our residents. We have not really seen the extent of the damage yet because we just came from an evening of rescue. So within the day, we should find out how we can utilize the quick response fund to be able to help our people and our communities.
Okay. Now, I know that you have your own city to think of, but also as the head of the Metro Manila Council, would you have an idea at this point, an initial assessment on just how bad it is for NCR? Apparently, we know that Metro Manila's drainage system can only accommodate up to 30 millimeters of rainfall an hour. And yet, in a 10-hour period yesterday, 74 millimeters an hour was monitored, and we experienced more during
That's a
Ondoy.
lot of water.
But let's talk about that. Just how bad is it all over NCR today?
Well, number one, Marikina is badly hit, and I know Mayor Marcy has really been around the clock in helping his city. The
Yeah.
Kamanava area, of course, Caloocan, Malabon, Navotas, and Valenzuela, because these are low-lying cities contiguous to big bodies of water. So these are areas that I know are really devastated. And here in San Juan, if I may share, we have a San Juan River and we have several creeks such as the Maitunas and Ermitaño creeks. And yesterday, they
Yeah, I can understand that waters just overflow and stuff. I know when I face similar issues back here in Missouri, we actually have houses on stilts, so near rivers, because they know when the floods actually rise up that they're gonna actually stay safe, and you can actually move some of those some of your items all the way up to the second floor to hopefully save some of it. And then if only if the water touches the stilts, your house is going to be okay. There was one particular time I actually remember this, and like this whole farmland, this guy actually had like his whole farmland was completely flooded, and his house was kind of on a hill on stilts, and he would and his house didn't get hit at all. But I can understand that these people would actually have some major issues, especially if your home is like near major bodies of water. I think even the Manila airport is right next to the ocean, and it's probably pretty difficult. So you have to wait for a lot of that flood water to recede. I know we're going to be watching another video that this particular water even went all the way to the second floor, and people were trying to go to the third floor or even the roof.
Overflowed due to the volume of water. So I would like to believe that areas that are really close to bodies of water submerged yesterday simply because of the heavy rainfall. Even Pag-asa said that what we experienced yesterday is possibly a week's worth or possibly even a month's worth of rain, all pouring in just about 48 hours.
Okay, so would you say that Marikina and Bulacan are hardest hit?
Right now, I would not like to comment on the hardest hit areas, but at 9 o'clock, Karen, I will be joining President Marcos for a situation briefing in Malacanang. And I believe all the information and data will be presented during that meeting. So by lunchtime, more or less, I would have more information.
Okay, another question is the price freeze for 60 days on basic commodities in Metro Manila, is it already implemented or is it in effect today?
Yes, as you declare a state of calamity, it is immediately in effect. So I have already instructed my business permits and licensing office to monitor the groceries, the markets, and the same thing must be done all over Metro Manila to ensure that the prices do not move in light of what we are experiencing now. So
I actually would like to comment on this. You're not only just going to deal with like all of the product that was not shipped yet because of the cargo that wasn't moving. You're also going to deal with all of the commodities, all of the store inventories that are actually just going to be just destroyed, all because of this flood. You know, you won't even have the bread, all the stuff in the stores, all the stuff in the marketplaces, anybody who's trying to sell electronics and everything like that. So to actually see them freeze it uh, and not raise the prices, especially with most Filipinos are on a pretty decent tight budget, is a great thing. I don't really know if 60 days is going to be enough for them to recoup everything like that, but and I really do hope that they don't try to increase the prices with regarding this situation. I do know in the past there was Filipinos that were withholding rice and onions and stuff like that, trying to raise up the prices. So I do hope that they really do stick to that rule to make sure that a lot of this is not going to be like a big old price hack because people are just going to try to recoup some of their money back through all of this. And because a lot of people are going to be in major devastation that they can't even really afford anything else, they're going to have to rebuild their homes. They're going to have to rebuild their lives. Some of these people are even going to there's 13 losses, so they're gonna have to deal with the losses of loved ones in this situation. People are not gonna, like, even the food in their homes, they're not gonna have food in their homes. So this is gonna be really difficult, and I really do hope that the government steps in to help them out.
Again, I call on my fellow mayors to ensure that the price ceiling is monitored properly. Let us assign our authorities to monitor the commercial areas in our jurisdictions.
Okay, so, all right. What's going on? Okay. One second. Let me, wrong. There it is. All right, so now we're gonna I only found one video that was actually somewhat more newer, and and to actually show you like what they're kind of doing the cleanup and everything. So we're gonna do that, and then we're also gonna cover how the Filipinos' good attitude despite of all of this. So let's start with that video. Okay, this one.
And we have with
Oh,
us this morning
Wrong one. This one.
In the Philippines, people in Manila are returning to their homes after Typhoon Calamity brought the capital to a standstill on Wednesday. Although the storm did not make landfall, it's triggered severe flooding and landslides in the past week. 13 people were killed and more than 600,000 displaced from their homes. Al Jazeera's Barnaby Lowe has more from the Philippines capital.
For the first time in days, the sun is shining here in the Philippine capital, Manila, and it is giving the opportunity for residents of this riverside community to clean up all this debris. I mean, just look at the amount of debris on this street alone. And this was left by flooding on Wednesday. Now, the flooding was caused by intense, continuous monsoon rains, which were in turn intensified by Typhoon Gamy. Residents of this village tell us that the floodwaters rose to the second floor of their homes, and so many of them were trapped on the third floor of their homes for hours. And if they didn't have a third floor, they were trapped on their roofs or they had to flee to evacuation centers. Now, the flooding did not just affect this village. It was so widespread that now the entire Metro Manila region is under a state of calamity. Now, what
Okay, I just want to comment real quick about this, and we're going to go back to the video. I remember the flood of '93 back here in the States, and I remember people being on the roof. It was so many people on the roof that literally they wound up like people like on helicopters, and they were able to pick out people off of the roofs and stuff, and they were bringing down like hanging ladders and all that situation. It was devastating. People were still on the roof while their house was being floated away. It was terrible.
What does that mean? An official declaration of a state of calamity means, among other things, the quick release of emergency funds. So now, Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has earmarked about $50 million for aid and assistance to victims. Now, remember, this city is a city of 13 million residents. Hundreds of thousands of people have been displaced by the typhoon and monsoon rains. And it's not just here in Manila, but in other parts of the country as well. The good news is that in this village, nobody died from the flooding. But in the northern Philippines, we know that people died from landslides. Barnaby Lowe, Al Jazeera, Manila.
All right, so despite all of that situation, I do want to say that I still think that Filipinos are in great spirit regarding this. I do have one more video to show you. It's like a 50-minute long video, but I'm just going to skip through it. So stay tuned for that, and let's watch that one, because I actually like to see Filipinos. They have such a good spirit, even regarding this, like these hard times.
Dito. Shoutout sa inyo. Meron kaya?
Yeah.
Ika muna.
Just quickly, you see that guy showering right there? He's just soaping up and everything. Oh, wow. That's a lot of water. Oh, man, that car. I am really surprised to see a vehicle like this to still be able to run through water like this without actually being able to be flooded. They're going to have to take that thing apart if it floods. To get so much water in the carburetor and all that, I don't know. it's gonna be really difficult to fix a vehicle like that. But wow, just to watch people still be able to drive this and ride a bike and stuff through the water like this is incredible. Just pushing it forward. There you go. So much water. They're playing ball. Okay. See, they're still having fun. Oh, he has an umbrella. Let me just watch part of this. He's got his bike right there. That's a lot of water. They're playing ball. Wow. Yes. This makes me really want to join them. I think that me and my son would actually have a wonderful time playing in this kind of water. But yeah, be real careful because especially if like flash flooding throughout these cities and stuff and water rushing into, just because this is as full as it is, you still have to be careful for more water pouring in and sweeping you off. But regardless, I mean, this would be fun. I would be having fun in this kind of water. Really going on there. A lot of people. What's got there?
Ibigay mo na rin tong isa. May second, may batch pa naman eh. Ibigay mo na, may batch pa naman.
Okay, okay. Oh, here's another client. Let's see if he travels. Oh, he turned off. Oh, he's on walking now. That was actually really fun to actually watch people still in great spirit regardless of all of this. So yeah, if you all actually really enjoyed this and you like to see more of these kind of videos and everything, yeah, please subscribe and let me know also what you think. Let me know what else you'd like to watch. Thanks for stopping by the JP Network, and you all have a great evening.